Yeah, so we're excited to be going back to the national championship as a team. Last year we had an individual there. The 11 years before that we had teams represented, so it's fun to have a team back at the meet. So this will be our 12th of the last 13 years to have a team at the championship. We've got a really solid group this year. We've had a great year. We were second in the Big Ten. We didn't have a perfect race at the regional. We were hoping to be top two, but I think that gave us a little fuel to the fire for nationals that we weren't super satisfied with the way we ran at the regional. So hopefully it's all correctable stuff, and we hope that we can kind of go into nationals with maybe a little bit of momentum and a little bit of a chip on our shoulder that we were a better team than what we showed in Ames last Friday. So I'm excited. I think I've said all year we're going to be a really good national team. We have 3 really low sticks and 3 kids that could potentially all be All-Americans. And when you have that, you got a really good shot to be a top 10 to 15 team at the national meet, and that's kind of our goal. The big goal is to be top 10 and ideally come away with top 15 if things are just kind of a solid day.
What's the course like? Where the championship going to be?
So we're going to be at Louisville in Kentucky, and we were there 2 years ago. It's a great course. The girls on the team really like it. We competed there in early October for an invitational to kind of get a preview. Relatively flat, pretty fast, which my team this year kind of likes that. Some teams are better on hilly, grindy, muddy courses. This team kind of likes the finesse courses. So I think we're excited. The time when we ran 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had a really good meet there. So that's always good momentum to know the course and to be able to go in with some positive feelings about the course going into Saturday.
Are you confident in all your races, or is there a couple sticking out that have a good chance to perform well?
We've got 3 up front. So Madeline Strandemo was second in the Big Ten. She just got 6th at the Midwest Regional. She's been our kind of leader all year, but we've had 2 people right around her, and Bethany and Megan Haas, who are twins, sophomores from Alexandria, Minnesota. And all 3 of those guys have really been kind of a coin flip every race as to who's going to be the leader, which has been really fun for them to race together. They really race well as a group and have some good mojo. And like I said earlier, I think they're all 3 All-American-esque runners. Now, top 40 are All-Americans, and I think there's probably about 60 or 70 women on the line that on any given day could be in the top 40, and I think they are 3 that can do that. So hopefully it'll be fun. We haven't had an individual All-American in about 10 years, so it'd be great to come away with 1, but I know all 3 of them have that as their goal to all 3 of them come away with All-American honors as well.
Is this a big meet for recruiting for next year?
Yeah, I mean, just long term. Anytime you go into a national field, there's 31 teams there, so we're already kind of one of the top 31 teams in the country, but you always want to do well. We've got some really good 2019 recruits in the state of Minnesota, which is obviously a year away, but they're starting to narrow things down as juniors right now, and they're people that we've had our eye on for a long time. And so we're hopeful that this will build momentum and know that 2 of our top 3 kids are only sophomores now, so they'll be back for the next 2 years, and hopefully that will be enticing to some kids to want to stay home and help us become a top 10 program year in and year out.
And this helps with your brand outside the state and the upper Midwest, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Minnesota's a challenging place to recruit to at times for an outdoor sport because it's cold, and we don't necessarily recruit out of Louisville or places like that very often, but definitely in the upper Midwest we try to get as many top kids from kind of the 5-state area in the upper Midwest as we can, and that's been successful for us. We won 2 Big Ten titles in 08 and 09 with all Minnesota kids and 1 Wisconsin kid, so there's lots of talent in this area, and we really don't feel like we have to go much outside of this area to field a really good roster. So, but yeah, anytime you can perform well at a national meet, you're going to attract the attention of maybe some kids that wouldn't have normally looked, and anytime you can get somebody interested from elsewhere, we'll absolutely take a look.
Who are the dominant women's teams?
Nationally?
Nationally, and how do you hope to stack up again?
Yeah, so there's a couple favorites this year. San Francisco, who actually came and ran at the GRIAC earlier in the year, put on a pretty good clinic at the GRIAC in September here. They're one of the favorites. New Mexico is one of the favorites. Colorado's always good. Oregon's always good. They're the defending national champs. I think we're not quite on that scale yet, to be real honest. I think our top 3 can line up with their top 3 any day of the week. But we're still a little bit off at 4 and 5 compared to those teams from a depth perspective. But at a national meet, the weird thing about cross country is it's sort of like the Final Four in basketball, but everyone plays at the same time. So it's like every team playing each other simultaneously on one day. And so I think really from probably 6th place team to about 15th place team, those teams on any given day could be in any order. And I think we're one of those teams. And so if we have a perfect day and everything lines up, could we be 6th or 7th in the country? Maybe. Could we be 15th and still have a really good day? Probably. But those top 4 or 5 are pretty elite, and they definitely are maybe on a little bit different tier than the next group.
How much does it help to have, I'll say, that experience at the top of your squad to teach some of the younger ladies how this works so you can elevate your game?
It's huge. Madeline Strandamo has been huge for us. You know, having 2 years of national experience. She went last year as an individual, the year before that with the team. She's our queen bee. I mean, she's very, very talented, but she's also a great leader, and she takes those guys under her wing, and she doesn't try to run away from anybody. She wants the team to be with her, and that's huge. A lot of times you can have an elite kid that just wants to make everybody look bad because it makes them feel better about themselves, and she's kind of the antithesis of that. She wants the whole team to be there. She wants Bethany and Megan to be right with her. She races better when they're there, and that's been huge. And now, you know, to have her with this group, and with this group we get everybody back next year besides her, and so there'll be another queen bee that emerges, but she's been able to really impart a lot of wisdom on this group about how to be one of the best runners in the country. She was an All-American last spring on the track. She's a Big Ten champion. So to have that in your locker room is huge. Just somebody that's been there, and she was a walk-on. So she kind of relates to a lot of our group that she didn't come in as a hot shot. She just got better every year, and now she's one of the best runners in the country. And so I think a lot of our team relates to that story and really feeds off of that and knows that that can happen if you do things the right way, and if you just keep plugging away year after year and do it in order and don't try to skip steps and don't get fancy. Just keep doing what your job is every year, and you'll get better.
What do you think the biggest difference maker is from now till this point last year? Obviously, Maddie won as an individual. You had all these pieces in place, but it's been a building year.
Yeah, last year was tough. We had 3 freshmen in our top 4 for most of the year last year, and that's just a tough go. The way cross country works is every meet's really important throughout the year, just like any sport, but you kind of accrue points throughout the year. I think by the regional meet, we were a good enough team last year to be at nationals. We just didn't have enough points accumulated through the season, and I think the team last year seeing that and realizing that we have to be on our A game in September and October and November, and not just in November, was huge for them. And so really going into the GRIAC, going into Wisconsin, going into the Big Ten meet, they had a focus this year that maybe wasn't there last year, because last year it was kind of deer in the headlights for most of them, that, man, we're just trying to learn every week, which is great, but it was hard to learn and be an elite group last year. But this year they're just a very different group, and they really had a huge focus even starting last spring of trying to win a Big Ten title. That was a huge focus for the year, and I think that was a galvanizing goal, and that really got a lot of people throughout the whole summer and into the fall really locked in on, hey, we've got a shot at this Big Ten title, and we really are going to do everything in our power to get there, and that just kind of trickled into everything else.
Anything else for Coach?
Good luck.
Thank you very much.